to the subject of forgotten games, it's not just the game that you tend to forget. Sometimes it's actually the company. Would you ever think that there was a game that was considered a copycat game that was considered forgotten? The subject of Castlevania is a series that will never be forgotten. From its old school roots with the Game Boy and even the Nintendo Entertainment System, to even the new games that you play these days like Lords of Shadow, or many different other adaptations of Castlevania. But I brought up copycat games. Games that were considered copies of their origins. So today, on Forgotten Gaming, I'm going to be showing you a forgotten game of my favorite caliber. A game that is very, very difficult in more ways than one, but seems to be an upgrade of its former origin of its so-called copycat origins. Today, on Forgotten Gaming, I'm going to be reviewing for you Holy Diver for the Famicom. April 28th, 1989 was when the company Irem created Holy Diver, which is considered a copycat game of Castlevania, which was created before it. But for a game that only came out for the Famicom, it had a very interesting and complex story, as I remember. Basically, on the 666th year of the world of magic, the Black Slayer Demon King of the Underground Dark Empire has extended the world of darkness and weakened the power of King Crimson, whose wisdom has guided the world of magic for many, many generations. The 16th Crimson Emperor Ronnie IV entrusted his two infant sons, Randy and Zack, to his faithful servant Ozzy. The three escaped the forces of another dimension in the hope of bringing light back into the world. The next 17 years were difficult, but Randy, Zack, and Ozzy devoted themselves to the cause of holy magic justice. The Black Slayer had further extended his empire over the countryside, and the interdimensional forces were even more powerful. Randy needed to find the royal coat of arms of the Crimson to battle the demons. We play as Randy as he sets out alone to carry out the will of a surrogate father, Ozzy, who had sadly passed away. Thus begins the actual game that is Holy Diver. Now, yes, this game does actually take place in hell, and not many people realize that, yes, this game is influenced by images evoked when you think of the names of rock and metal back in the day, and even Satan and everything that has to do with the 80s of hard music. This was one of the other reasons why I got into this game as well back in the day. It is difficult to write the game's name off of a mere coincidence when you consider its storyline. An awesome intro that references Slayer and King Crimson in its first paragraphs and pays bid to Ronnie, which is known as James Dio, the rocker back in the day, Ozzy being tributed to Ozzy Osbourne, and Randy, also known as Randy Rhoads, famed guitarist to be with Ozzy before his death. And also Zack, or Wild, also famous for playing with Ozzy. I was flabbergasted when I put the two and twos together, and combining these references to a game with similar playstyle like Castlevania, this to me was one of the most perfect games I've ever played. It was difficult, yes. This is a game I would recommend to people that believe that Castlevania is too easy, and I sadly am one of those people. I think Castlevania 1 for the NES was really, really easy. And this is a game that I recommend to people of all ages that like a game that's similar to Castlevania, but like that little remixed flavor in a game. you'll definitely tell that the graphics were based on Castlevania, but it is far from being a Castlevania game. But I bet you if you change the name from Holy Diver to something with the name Castlevania in it, it would have gotten pretty popular if it was to come to America, because this game only was in Japan on the Famicom. Now, as people know, Castlevania, yes, started on the Famicom disk system. Started off on a giant floppy disk. But then it got sent to America on the new Nintendo Entertainment System. I really wish that Holy Diver went with it as well, because it is really good. It is really good. But, yeah, this is considered a forgotten game to me, because there are some aspects of Holy Diver that are actually better than Castlevania, but I'll leave that to the footage that you're watching right now to get the gist of what I mean. And that's it for Forgotten Gaming, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw today and you learned something today, please click that like button and leave a comment below. And as always, stay tuned for the next episode.